M.A.D. It's the m.A.dGenius. Today, I'm going to talk about real black communities. That's what I'm going to talk about today. Okay? Now, real black communities is not in the ghetto. As a matter of fact, there's not really many African Americans in the ghettos of America. See, if you was to do your research, you would see that the majority of the black people that's in the ghettos of America, or that's even in America in general, many of them is not even African American. Like, let's go to Los Angeles. Did you know that the Black Peace Stone Bloods out there in the jungle, the majority of them are Belizean? Which means that their parents had actually migrated from Belize. Did you know that? And not just the black people who live in the jungles, I believe that's South Central Los Angeles, but, you know, all throughout Los Angeles. A lot of them dark-skinned brothers, you know, are Belizean. Now, let's go to a place like Brooklyn, New York. The majority of black, dark-skinned, melanated people over there is from the Caribbeans. Haiti, Jamaica, Panama, etc. But see, when the child is born here, you feel me, they tend to speak and act and sound like African Americans, so you can't really tell the difference. You wouldn't have never really even know unless they told you. I even went as far as the South. When I used to live in Alabama, I met a brother who was from Cape Verde. We got black people in a place called Cape Verde. He was Cape Verdean. I never thought I'd see a fucking Cape Verdean, you know what I'm saying, in the South, particularly Birmingham, Alabama. But you'll be surprised. See, the thing is, when you go to the ghetto, you don't see African Americans. You rarely see African Americans. Even the dark-skinned people, melanated people that you think is African Americans, they're not. I mean, we can look at the rapper 50 Cent, Jamaican. Fabulous, Dominican. Kevin Gates, Puerto Rican. Kodak Black, Haitian. The fucking list goes on. How much more proof do you need? The African Americans of United States of America, the majority of them you won't find in the ghetto. That's not our community. That's a misconception. So now you're probably like, then where the hell they at? They are in affluent neighborhoods, which means that neighborhoods that is considered middle class and upper class. They're not in poverty. They're not poor. The majority of these cities that I'm going to mention that is really black populations, majority of them is in New York and it's in Maryland. Okay? And I'm going to give you a list pretty soon. And then you have some in California. And when I say New York, I'm not talking about New York City, upstate New York, New York State. That's where you're going to find real black communities where you go and you're going to see black businesses. You're going to see black professionals. Everything is going to be black. Now, I don't know about you, but I have actually lived in black communities. And before I go and give you my experience, let me mention that what we consider the ghetto, what we consider the hood, is just a community populated by blacks. It's not a black community. It's a fucking foreigner community. All those communities really fucking predominantly Latino communities. Because if you don't have no economic engine, no economic structure, no economy in the area, in the circumference, in the neighborhood, then you don't have a community. You don't have a community without economics. So these neighborhoods that we call quote-unquote black communities, which is really not, just communities populated by black people and other foreigners, non-black foreigners. Majority of them is really Latino communities. Because that's who you see own most of the businesses there. They have an economic structure. And you won't know what I'm talking about unless you really been to a community of your kind. If you're a Nubian like me, African in America, then you won't know what a community feel like unless you was in a fucking community, an actual black community where the economy is dominated by black people. You go into, you see black stores, you know what I'm saying, black hotels, etc. I'm originally from California, okay? Southern California, the most southern part of the fucking map. The place that got real fucking Mexican food. The best Mexican food in the fucking country. Not that shit y'all niggas eating in the East Coast. No, y'all motherfuckers ain't eating no fucking Mexican food. Even in Texas, y'all niggas ain't even eating real Mexican food, okay? I ate Mexican food that you motherfuckers never heard of. But despite all that, my last days in California, I spent the majority of them in the black community. Not an African American black community, but an East African black community that was basically a Somalian community. They had stores there, they had real estate there. And although I wasn't of their same nationality, but I am of the same race, the feeling that I had there was like no other place in my city. I fell in love with that place because it's just a feeling that you get when you in a place, an economy that is ran and produced by your people. Once you're in an environment like that, then that when you really start feeling like you at home. That's when you really feel like you belong somewhere. Because I traveled to many places in America. And if I don't see black business there, and if I don't see black economics there, I feel out of place. I have no belonging to that place. It's difficult for me to embrace that place. Like a place like Boston, when the majority of people who own the businesses is fucking Caucasian, and Asian. And aside from that, you have Latinos and some Cape Verdeans. I can't resonate with a place like that, or a place like New York City, where it seems like everybody owns businesses except for black. I can't resonate with a place like that. I feel out of place. But fortunately, there is some places in America where I could have that void feeling fulfilled and feel like I belong somewhere, that I'm a part of something. Everybody asks me, out of the 30 states that I've been to, which one was the favorite one I've been to? And I tell them Alabama. And it blows their fucking mind. They say, why Alabama out of all places? Birmingham, Alabama in particular. Because when I went to Alabama, man, there were black restaurants everywhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I went there and I'm like, yo, here go a fucking place where I can eat the food of my nationality. You feel what I'm saying? Or I could go into an area and I can see people on the businesses that look like me. Because even though they was owned by black people, not particularly me, it still felt like it was mine. I felt a part of that. You feel what I'm saying? It felt like a real community. Without economics, you're not going to have the feeling of being in a real community. So for all my brothers and sisters who want that feeling, if you want to go to a place where over 50% of the businesses are owned by black people is not living in poverty, black people is not killing each other, the crime rate is not high. You don't see ratchet ghetto chicken heads roaming the streets or thug ass niggas with their pants hanging out their ass. Talking about affluent African American communities. Here go the list. Number 1, Hillcrest, New York. Number 2, Uniondale, New York. Number 3, Woodmore, Maryland. Number 4, Carteret, Maryland. Number 5, Fort Washington, Maryland. Number 6, Mitchellville, Maryland. Number 7, Lauderdale Heights, California. Number 8, DeSoto, Texas. Number 9, Baldwin Hill, California. Number 10, View Park, Windsor Hill, California. Forgot what number that was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Number 12, Lakeview, Maryland. Number 13, Brandywine, Maryland. Number 14, Roseville, Maryland. And there's another place that's not on this list that I know that's very affluent black community, and that's called Lithonia, Georgia. Now, there's about 14, 15 cities that are named on this list, right? But that's not all of them. It's a lot more. As you can see, these not popular cities. You feel what I'm saying? Some of you guys probably never heard of them before, but they exist. I challenge you guys to go to these places. And it'll change your whole perception of African Americans, because everybody assume that we all live in the ghetto. Assume that we all poor. And all of that crap. You feel what I'm saying? M.A.D. If you don't subscribe, then you're a